Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for this webinar on cloud security and compliance. My name is Saurabh Chaskar. I am a senior cloud consultant with IFI Tech Solutions. With me, Siddhi. She is a cloud engineer with us. Our company, IFI Tech Solutions, is a born in broad cloud company. We are Microsoft Gold partner set up by ex-Microsoft employees. We help global customers ranging from enterprises to SMBs in their cloud journey. Now, public cloud has been greatly promoted as an approach for organizations to reduce IT cost and increase scalability. But according to the Cloud Security Spotlight report, 90% of organizations were very or moderately concerned about cloud security and compliance. Now, failing to follow new data legislations and security requirements can lead to fines, legal actions, and also severe damage to your company's reputation. So, although cloud services have brought a new age of transmitting and storing data, many companies were still hesitant to make a move to cloud without a clear plan for security and compliance in place. Now, Microsoft understands these critical requirements for their customers, and as a managed service partner, Microsoft operates and manages all cloud services with security at core. In addition to machine learning, Microsoft has made significant investments in cyber defense that offers you unique intelligence and proactive measures to protect your applications. Microsoft has 90 plus compliance certificates and tools that helps you to develop and deploy a compliant solution on cloud much faster. So in today's seminar, out of the numerous tools that are available in Azure, we would discuss three key tools. These tools make it very easy to configure security and compliance on Azure. Now first is Azure Security Center. Now this tool unifies security management and enables advanced threat protection across hybrid cloud workloads. Next is Azure Sentinel. It helps you in threat detection to respond faster to using artificial intelligence. Last is Azure Blueprints that helps you to stay compliant with internal and external regulations, configuring policies and access controls. We will discuss each of these tools in detail, demonstrate how easy it is to use this and integrate this with your environment. We also have few case studies around business impact that we were able to achieve by implementing this on our customers. So in case of questions or queries, please feel free to raise it on chat window and we'll make sure that it gets answered at the end of the session. Now, before we start with the first tool, I would like to discuss Microsoft security ecosystem. All services in Azure are designed to support multiple layers of defense. So when it comes to security and threat management, there are a number of categories that Microsoft breaks this into. Everything starts with identity and access control. In Azure, identity revolves around Azure Active Directory that you see in the right side of the slide. When it comes to networking, Microsoft has a number of tools that protect you from a layer 2 DDoS attack to a layer 7 SQL injection. Next is compute and storage, which is all about services that protect data at rest and data in transit. So each of these tools are deployed at particular layer and work together to provide a necessary security to the end user. Now on top of these tools is Azure Security Center. Azure Security Center is that one key tool that is able to provide you the complete security posture of your environment. It integrates with all these tools to provide a security dashboard for your complete infrastructure. Azure Security Center is a unified infrastructure and security management system that strengthens the security posture of your data center. It also provides advanced threat protection. It provides centralized and real-time monitoring with actionable recommendations. So few of the capabilities that you have with Azure Security Center are: first, it utilizes recommendations that leverages intelligent threat detection. Security Center utilizes Microsoft Intelligent Security Graph to discover threats and then takes action. Now, in addition, it continuously accesses the security and vulnerability of the entire infrastructure that includes your VMs, networks, and identities. Thirdly, it combines your cyber threat intelligence that Microsoft collects from its services. It gives you severity-based alerts that helps you to plan and strategize accordingly. Now, once the onboarding process with Security Center is very simple. Once the Security Center is enabled and existing resources or new resources that are created, no additional onboarding is required from them. They get configured with the necessary security rules. You can also automate response to security events. It uses security playbooks to automate workflows in case of an event that is a very well known. It also has advanced security protections such just like just-in-time access that allows you to open a security port only for a particular time window and thus to help you to reduce the exposure. File integrity services that monitors files and registries to check if they are altered in any way, right? And this out of this many tools, or I would say advantages, we are going to discuss some of these features in details in the upcoming slide. Each of the sites that I've been talking about Azure Security Center, right? The one thing that was common is Azure Security Center provides security posture. So how does it exactly do that, right? The first key parameter is security score. Security Center constantly reviews the active recommendations and calculates security score based on severity and the security best practices. Security score is basically the ratio of healthy resources in your environment versus the total resources. The next one is security policies. Security policies provide desired configuration of your workloads and ensures you comply to it. A group of policies is then create something called as an initiative. Initiative makes it very easy to assign it to a subscription at a one go. The third parameter is regulatory compliance dashboard. It provides insights into your compliance posture. This helps in identifying resources that are not compliant, identifying gaps, which can be a very daunting task. ASE makes it very easy to streamline the entire process of meeting the benchmark standards. Now, all this assessment data is basically done by performing assessment on the deployed resources. The following slide reflects Microsoft's assessment strategy. First is compute and application. It not only includes your Azure servers, but includes servers that can be deployed in customer's data center. It includes VM skill sets, AKS, which is nothing but groups of VMs. It also includes Azure Web App, which is used to deploy applications. Next is networks. In networks include multiple components like network security groups, just-in-time access, and DDoS protection. The third one is Beat Unique. It is known as IoT Hub. So IoT is divided into two parts, IoT Hub and IoT devices. IoT Hub is a resource that gets created into Azure. The fourth parameter is the most important, data and storage. This includes all the Azure databases, storage accounts, and related data services like data analytics, data lake storage, etc. The last one is identity. It includes your Azure AD and Key Vault. Based on the assessment, ASE divides alert into different priorities. Alert management is a very continuous process. So once a security center is enabled, you are able to find out security posture and then go through the recommendations that are being provided. Now ASE classifies these recommendations into four categories. First one is high. High is for the resources that are being endangered, and ASE is very confident about its finding. Next one is medium, which is meant for resources that are suspicious and have suspicious activities associated with it. The third one is low, which can be a blocked attack, or maybe the intent was not malicious. The last one is informational, which is not, I would say, not worthy of looking closer into, but something that is very good for information. So once you receive this recommendation, what you should do is start remediating it according to the priorities. Once done, you should observe the security score and see if you have done any improvement to it, right? A security center would continuously monitor your resources, right? So what you should do is you should have a key eye on your AST dashboard, making sure that most of your resources are compliant. Azure Security Center is available in two SKUs. One is the free and standard. Free is available at no cost and is enabled by default. It provides you continuous assessment and security recommendations. It is also able to give you security score, right? But if you're looking for advanced features, right? For example, just-in-time access, advanced threat protection, regulatory compliance dashboards, right, etc., then you would have to upgrade it to standard tier. Now, the process of upgrading it from a free to standard tier is a very simple process, happens in a single click. Now that we have understood I would say key features of Security Center, I like to demonstrate Security Center dashboard and discuss the key capabilities that I just talked about. So on your screen, you see a Security Center dashboard, right? The dashboard is divided into three parts. One is the secure score, second is the regulatory compliance, and third is the coverage, how many subscriptions are covered, etc. So what you can also do is you can go here under coverage, find out how many subscriptions have enabled, right? The ones that say partially covered are included under free tier. Ones that say fully covered are something that are included, the standard tier. So if I have to upgrade, say, a free tier to a standard tier, it's a simple process. As I said, just go to edit plans, select standard, and then you just have to press on the save button. That's it. And now coming back to the security score, which I feel is the most critical parameter, right? It helps you to identify out of how many recommendations from Microsoft are you good, right? So here you can see out of 56 points, I have just earned 11, right? And the problem for that is I can go here and then find out what could be the problem. So for example, say I have to go into a subscription and see why is my score low. I can see here that I have two unhealthy resources. I go here, say for example, in one of the resources I see that the enable endpoint protection is not being enabled, right? So what I can do is I can click on this, right? And then I can see an option wherein I can directly install an anti-malware on the VM. So you don't have to go anywhere. Security Center is able to automate it everything from a single portal. So that I would say is the bigger advantage. Third is the regulatory compliance, right? If you're interested into compliances, right, you can go here, check for compliances. For example, if you're interested into ISO, I see that out of 20 controls that ISO provides, I have just passed 20, I would say 6. And then I can go inside and find out what can be the more, how can I score better in that part, right? Recommendations, as I said, are divided into computes and apps. So if you want to focus on networking, you can go into networking. If you want to focus on database, you can go into data and storage. Apart from the advanced cloud defense, you can have just-in-time access, right? So currently have not enabled it, but this is where you can go there. You will find your VM and this you have to just click and find out that you can request access for the VM. File integrity monitor, again the same thing, monitors your files and uh, registries. So now that we have discussed, I would say Security Center in much brief, right? I'll take some time to go through anatomy of a real attack on cloud, right? So all attackers, I would say, are constantly checking and scanning networks to point of potential opening. Now suppose they find an open interface and they launch a brute force attack on your VM. They can then go ahead, install, say, a malware, perform a SQL injection, right? You can also have an unusual signing on your Azure AD, right? So the important thing to notice is that whenever there's a breach, right, you have alerts coming from multiple sources. So one tool that is able to integrate all these sources and then correlate into a very single critical alert is Azure Sentinel. Azure Sentinel is a cloud native security information and event manager platform, right? Commonly known as SIEM. It uses artificial intelligence to analyze large volumes of data across the enterprise. Azure Sentinel puts you in a very unique position to translate signals from all your systems and protect what you need. Now, if I had to, if I had to explain the working of Sentinel, I'll divide it into 4 parts. It starts with first collecting the data across users, devices, applications that can be on Azure or can be on premises. Each connector has different configuration that you find in Azure portal, which helps you to enable it. Now, once the data is collected, you can go ahead and perform analysis over it. It is basically the sets of rules that are something that identifies something that needs attention. It is able to detect previously undetected threats, minimizes false positives using threat intelligence. You can then have predefined rules or even create your own rules. Now, once the important threats are identified, you can then start drilling into it. You can see additional data, timelines of the alerts. You can then also start, reporting the data collected, proactively hunting anomalies instead of passively waiting for results, right? And once you're done with all the investment, you can then go ahead and then respond to it using a built-in orchestration or an automation tool. Now this slide explains the Sentinel architecture. Like any other SIEM, Azure Sentinel needs to store data, and that it has collected from different sources, right? It uses log analytics workspace for that, so you can choose an existing workspace or create a new workspace to store data. Now there are inbuilt connectors that facilitate data ingestion from Microsoft and partner solutions. Azure Sentinel also provides out-of-the-box detection queries that leverages machine learning capabilities using Gusto language. Now the data management layer is basically followed by automation layer, which helps you to orchestrate, the task. The topmost layer is the user interaction layer. Now this is the layer that has all important data that you can work on. You can use built-in dashboards to have deep dive into security event generated. Now with Jupyter notebooks, you can extend the scope of data collected. Now Jupyter has inbuilt libraries and are searching capabilities using machine learning, etc. So having understood the architecture of Sentinel, let's move to the next slide, which is what are the advantages of using Azure Sentinel? The first bigger advantage is it is an end-to-end solution for your enterprise, whether if you're on cloud or you are on premises. It combines the efforts of SecOps teams who are involved in post-breach investigations, security admins who are constantly looking for root cause. It also helps ID admins who are, who are responsible for doing that security configuration. Secondly, it supports variety of data collectors that can be on cloud, it can be on cross cloud, it can be third party. It uses the inbuilt log analytics, which is able to terabytes of data in no time. The number of systems that you can work in your environment, the number of alerts is very high. So this brings to the third important point, which is reducing the noisy alerts, right? So it might happen that you might receive 1,000 alerts in a single day. Now out of that 1,000 alerts, security team might just be able to check 500 out of them, right? And then they fight out of that only 10% was useful. So this phenomena is something called as alert fatigue or alert noise. Now since Sentinel is backed by AI, it allows you to focus on important alerts quickly and then reduce that noise. Now the fourth is performing advanced hunting. With ever growing cyber attacks, right? Hunting allows you to stay ahead of the game. It proactively helps you to find out anomalous activities. That is a sign of an intrusion. You can bookmark important observations and queries that you can then revisit in future. You can also live stream the data that you have collected. With Sentinel notebooks, you can query data using language of your choice. Now that makes it very easy for anyone. Fourth is utilizing Microsoft experience in using ML for security. Now Microsoft has gained immense experience in managing security tools. Sentinel empowers you to use that experience. There are pre-built queries that are available to protect you from bad guys. Since it's a complete cloud solution, right? Customers do not have to worry about the complexity of setting up a SIEM. On-prem SIEM solutions are not scalable. Managing server itself is a bigger task. So this is something that won't happen with Azure Sentinel. The fifth, I would say the sixth one is the most critical one, the ability to integrate community contributions. Now, most of the security teams are stretched in terms of cyber security skills. What Microsoft does is it works in collaboration with customers. All your configurations of Sentinels are available in GitHub. And it is, since it's a community tool, right? If you can contribute to help, and that is helping to improve Sentinel as a product. With Sentinel, the most advantage the bigger advantage that we see is the amount of data connectors that it supports, right? So Microsoft has been working with their partners to seamlessly integrate tools with Sentinel. Some of these services leverage out of the box integrations, like for example, Security Center is one of it, Microsoft Defender, Azure Active Directory, Office 365, etc. Now, for some of these integrations, they would have to use APIs. For example, Barracuda, WAF, and F5 are basically services. If you have to use Sentinel, you have to go through APIs. Now, thirdly, there are certain amount of services that requires you to install agents or proxies. Now, until and unless you install the agents, you are not able to send logs to Azure Sentinel. But the best part is that you get detailed instructions while you are trying to add any AD connector on the portal. So it's not complicated at all. I think we have covered everything that had to be covered in terms of Sentinel. I'll quickly move ahead and show you the Sentinel dashboard. And we can take it from there. So like Security Center, Sentinel also has a dashboard that you can see here. The data connector that I was just talking about, right? You can find here. So currently there are 54 connectors available. What I have done is I have connected only 3 out of this 54, right? So you can see here. In case I have to add a additional data connector, I just have to say I'm looking for a WAF connector. I'll type WAF. Go here. What it says is it shows that it is not connected, and then for looking at the instructions, I'll have to go to something called as connectors, and then it will provide me what are the instructions, what are the next steps that are required for configuring or integrating Azure web application firewall logs to the Sentinel. Apart from that, one good thing is analytics, right? As I said, Microsoft provides you rule templates. You can use that as a baseline and then create your own rules. So here I can go here and see what are the rule templates available. I can choose any of it, and then I can create a rule for me, and you can see that in the active rules. In terms of automation, it uses playbooks, right? Playbooks are being backed up by Azure Logic Apps, right? So for example, I have created a demo of playbook. I'll go here. So here I'll go to Azure App Code View, wherein I can see, or I would say App Designer, wherein I can see a logical view of this alert. What I've basically done is, in case you receive an alert from Sentinel, you can go ahead and trigger an email, right? Now it can be as complicated as suppose you are attacked on a network layer, you can go ahead and block that port, block that NSGs and stuff, and all the good stuff like that. So it's completely independent. Community is where you can go ahead and do the contribution. Hunting is where you can run pre-built queries, right? So for example, if you want to run few queries, you can go here and run that queries. Notebooks is a preview feature, but then as I said, does the same thing. You can create your alerts and then configure it. Workviews provide you the ability to report it. Now that we have understood Sentinel and Security Center, right? The most common question that we get from a customer is, can I use only Security Center and not use Sentinel? Or can I just use Sentinel and not use Security Center? So before answering that, let us understand what we need to understand is that the use cases for both these tools are different. Both are powered by AI at backend, but it contributes in a different manner. Azure Sentinel provides you a bird eye view of their enterprise, while Security Center is more of a recommendation engine. So while one part of your Security Center is responsible for sending logs to your, say, Azure Sentinel, the second part is something that is able to provide you security posture of your environment. Now, logs that go to Sentinel, it might happen that it is not only the Security Center that is sending logs, it can be multiple sources, right? So an anomalous signal in Sentinel, when investigated further, it can give you as good information as saying that, okay, this was the VM involved. If you drill further, you can check if there was a PowerShell command that was triggered along the machine, right? And then once the investigation is completed, you can then go ahead and take the necessary action. What you can also do is, now that you have identified, okay, this was the resource that was affected, you can go to Security Center, check the security posture of this, that source. So for example, if it's a source, so if my VM is my source, right, I can go there and it might suggest that you should enable just-in-time access for that VM. And then I can go ahead, enable that just-in-time access, and that is how I improve the security posture. So the point that I'm trying to make is that this is how these tools collaborate and then are able to provide you necessary security. Now we have implemented this combination of Security Center and Sentinel for many of our customers, and the one customer that I would like to talk about is a very top, a top IT firm. Now this firm was very comfortable utilizing on-prem SIEM. However, majority of the time of the security team was invested in maintaining the infrastructure. They were very tired of alert fatigue and were looking to utilize AMI capabilities, to improve this security. Now the other challenges that they were having is this: the environment was widely spread. They had already deployed servers and had not followed any hardening rules at all. The major pain point was lack of visibility in terms of security posture. They wanted to create a strategy based on priorities that would need immediate access, but never had access to it. Now what we did is we basically onboarded all their subscriptions in Azure Security Center standards queue. Now this helped them to prioritize alerts. And secondly, what we did is we also utilized Sentinel to connect their WAF, their semantic alerts, to get all the alerts consolidated into a single place. Now all this quick onboarding helped them to improve the security posture. The SecOps teams were more comfortable and were confident as they had very less and precise alerts to investigate. Also, the investigation through Sentinel was very easy compared to their traditional SIEM, right? So that was the business impact that we were able to make for this customer. Now we've also utilized Azure Blueprints to govern this environment in a better way. I'll pass it to Siddhi, who would be explain Blueprints in more details. So yeah, over to you, Siddhi.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll continue from here with compliance, and we'll discuss about the general landscape of privacy and compliance in industry and what we do in Azure, followed by a demonstration of the Azure blueprints. Customers or companies are looking at a digital transformation, and they're looking towards the cloud for leveraging the benefits that AI or IoT offers. But as they move ahead to something new, several concerns are also raised. Concerns related to AI with facial regulations and concerns regarding the privacy and the control over the data resides and so on. Also, the compliance landscape gets complicated every day. We have new laws and regulations coming up day by day. So there are several standards or bodies such as ISO or the CIS benchmarks that serve as a guide to secure the Azure cloud. Microsoft offers a comprehensive set of compliance offerings to help your organizations comply with national, regional, and industry specific requirements governing the collection and use of data. Microsoft has an enduring commitment to protect data privacy since the start. So Microsoft designed Azure with industry-leading security controls, compliance controls, and privacy policies to safeguard your data in the cloud, including the categories of personal data identified by the GDPR. So GDPR, that is the General Data Protection Regulation, introduces new rules for organizations that offer goods and services to people in the European Union or that collect and analyze data for the European Union residents, no matter where you are or or where your enterprise is located. So GDPR gives right to people to manage the data that has been collected by an employer or any type of agency or an organization. Similarly, the California Consumer Privacy Act, that is CCPA, which came up in January 2020, provides privacy rights and obligations to California customers, including rights similar to the GDPRs, such as the right to delete, access, and receive their personal information. So customers expect for us to help them become compliant and wants to know the principles and more about transparency. They are very eager to know what sort of processes are being used and know more about the policy and compliance. Customers ask several questions as to how is the implementation done and what kinds of standards are being used. Also, there's a so Microsoft has launched Cloud for Global Good, a book for policy recommendations for governments, industry, and civil society to help ensure that the opportunities of technology are evenly shared and that the challenges that are being faced by the society are identified early and practical solutions are applied. That includes sections on personal privacy, artificial intelligence, digital literacy, and limit government access data and so on. So hence I encourage you to go through it once. Microsoft has privacy principles and customers who know how we manage their data. Microsoft uses that data to provide the services that we have agreed upon and not use it for marketing or advertising. So customers know where the data is located. Since customers need to maintain certain regulations and in specific location, we have certain policies to restrict the access to a location also. They are well aware about who accesses their data and on what terms. And Microsoft takes appropriate measures to protect your data. Microsoft has the deepest and the broadest compliance coverage in the industry. In 2014, we had 19 certifications and attestations, and now we have reached to 92. So some of these are actual certifications that third parties have audited us and certified that we comply with the standards. So here is the list of the compliance offerings by Microsoft Azure. So exactly how do we implement this in Azure? There are like a bunch of services we offer. One of which is the compliance from the broad list is PCI DSS, and it offers several security settings. A lot of them have several different restrictions, one of which is RBAC. There is role-based access control, which lets you have control over who can access what. So some have encryption role like the ones in PCI DSS. There are also some governance tools like Azure Monitor and Blueprints policy that helps you do that. Other tools that are present that focuses on compliance and privacy are Azure Data Subject Request Protocol that enables you to fulfill the GDPR requests in the portal. The Azure Information Portal lets you classify and apply protection around your data. Azure Governance allows you to ensure compliance with Azure policy, and Azure Blueprints lets you enforce portions of compliance standards such as the PCI DSS or ISO 27001. Moving on to the governance for cloud. Governance in Azure is one aspect of Azure management. It refers to the process of configuring Azure's resources access management tools to meet the goals and requirements of your organization. So following are some capabilities of Azure governance. Let's start with the management groups. If your organization has many subscriptions, you may need a way to efficiently manage access, policies, and compliance for those subscriptions. So Azure management groups provide a level of scope above the subscriptions. You organize subscriptions into containers called management groups and apply your governance conditions to the management groups. So all the subscriptions within that group will automatically inherit the conditions applied to the management group. Azure Policy helps to assess the compliance at scale. It is deeply integrated with Azure Resource Manager and helps you an organization enforce policy across resources. With Azure Policy, you can define policies at an organization level to manage resources and prevent developers from accidentally allocating resources in violation of those policies. You can use Azure Policy in a wide range of compliance scenarios, such as ensuring that your data is encrypted or remains in a specific region to comply with the GDPR. Azure Blueprints deploy and update cloud environments in a repeatable manner using composable artifacts. We will be focusing on that further. Azure Resource Graph is a service in Azure that is designed to extend Azure resource management by providing efficient and performant resource exploration with the ability to query at scale across a given set of subscriptions so that you can effectively govern your environment. The queries provide feature to query resources with complex filtering, grouping, and sorting by resource properties. Lastly, Azure Cost Management Plus Billing is a suite of tools provided by Microsoft that helps you analyze, manage, and optimize the costs of your workload. Further focusing on Azure Blueprints, Azure Blueprints enable you to define a repeatable set of resources that implements and adheres to an organization standards, patterns, and requirements. So Azure Blueprints makes it possible for the development teams to rapidly build and stand up new environments with the trust they are building within the organizational compliance with a set of built-in components such as networking to speed up development and delivery. Blueprints are a declarative way to orchestrate the deployment of various resource templates and other artifacts such as the role assignments, the policy assignments, the ARM templates as in the Azure Resource Manager templates, and the resource groups. Moving on to the next slide, this shows exactly who manages your data. So here it shows the shared responsibility model. In an on-premises data center, you own the whole stack. As you move to the cloud, some responsibilities transfer to Microsoft. So as you can see on the right, the boxes colored in blue is the customer's responsibility, and the black ones are on the responsibility of the cloud provider. So the identity and access management is a shared responsibility. Data classification is the responsibility of the customers, whereas the physical or networking part comes under the provider management. Jumping to the demo part, let's move to Azure portal. Once in the Azure portal, you can search for blueprints in the global search, or you can find it in the all services option. If in order to create a blueprint, click on create blueprint. You can start with a blank blueprint or pick a predefined sample to get started quickly. In the blueprints listed there, there's a link at the end that will redirect you to give you more information about the particular blueprint. So for demo purposes, we'll go with the predefined sample of PCI DSS blueprint. You can enter a name of your choice. The definition location determines the scope that your blueprint may be assigned to. So you can assign it at the management level or at the subscription level. Here we will perform it at the subscription level. Okay, moving on to the artifact sections. This blueprint has some predefined artifacts. You can add artifacts if you want, if you wish to. Okay, so let's edit the allowed location section and set the parameter to maybe West US. Okay, this will ensure that any resources created in this subscription should not be in another location except for West US. So by clicking on save draft, I'll save the draft. Okay, after the draft is successfully saved, it will appear in the blueprints definition. In order to assign this blueprint, you need to first publish it. Okay, so for that, we need to click on publish blueprint. and provide a version and click on publish. So once it is published, you can assign the blueprint. So as you can see here, you cannot change the subscription name. Since this is the subscription you have enabled for, the blueprint is enabled for this subscription only, and hence it cannot be changed. So this is grayed out. Then further moving on to the lock assignment. So the locking mode applies to the blueprint assignments, and it has three types: don't lock, do not delete, and read only. I'm not changing the lock option for here. Moving forward to the artifact parameter, you will find a predefined set of parameters. You can edit them here. You can select or deselect by your choice. And I have to set the values. Okay. Once all the parameters are set, click on assign. After the successful assignment, you can head to the assign blueprint section. Just a second. It's going to take a minute or two to assign. Till then. Okay. So going back to the assign blueprint section, you'll be able to see the assignment name, which was assigned right now. Right now it is in the waiting state. It will take a minute or two to reach the succeeded state. So once it is in succeeded state, it will automatically start reflecting the changes that the assigned blueprint contains. So further, you can check whether the subscription is compliant or not. After successful implementation, the resources created in your subscription will automatically inherit this policy. Why should you use the Azure Blueprint over any third-party tools available around you? Because around top 100% of 300 Microsoft Azure customers are making use of Azure Blueprints for the purpose of compliance and better security. And they have proven that Azure Blueprint is the best option available. So here are some important links for you to go and take a look at. You can visit the Azure portal and start utilizing it for your benefit. There's also a link to the vast compliance offerings by Microsoft. I'm going to keep this here for a moment for you to note it down. So moving on, here is the snapshot of the compliance management portal. So here you can see cards such as the compliance score, which shows you at a glance how your organization is doing with the data compliance, what solutions are available for your organizations. So the solution catalog card links to collections of integrated solutions you can use and to help you manage end-to-end compliance scenarios. A solution's capabilities and tools may include a combination of policies, alerts, reports, and more. So here is a detailed view of the compliance score. This also mentions that the key improvement skills. It also specifies which actions are completed, which are not, and which actions are out of your scope. It gives a detailed view of the status and the action type as well. So Microsoft Compliance Manager is a risk assessment tool in the Microsoft Service Trust portal for managing the regulatory compliance activities related to the Microsoft Cloud services. It enables you to assign, track, and record compliance and assessment related activities, which can help your organization cross team barriers to achieve your compliance goals. Assessments are the containers that allow you to organize controls based on responsibilities shared between Microsoft and your organization for accessing cloud security and compliance risk. Assessments help you implement data protection safeguards specified by the compliance standard and applicable data protection standards, regulations, or laws. So the compliance manager provides pre-configured templates for assessments and allow you to create customized templates for customer managed controls for your compliance needs. The action items are the recommended tasks for the implementation of the requirements of a standard or a regulation, or to test, verify, and document your organization's implementation requirements. The control infos are compliance process containers in Compliance Manager that define how you manage compliance activities. So more about the action items. People in your organization can use Compliance Manager to review the customer managed controls from all the assessments for which they have assigned. It is like when a user signs into Compliance Manager and opens the action items dashboard, a list of action items assigned to them is displayed. So depending on the Compliance Manager role assigned to the user, they can provide implementation or test details, update the status, or assign action items. And that's it for the session. If you have any queries, please post it in the chat and we will try to address it.
So Siddhi, one question that I see is regarding blueprints. Is there any cost associated with creating blueprints?
There is no cost associated to blueprints.
The second question that I see is, so for example, if I apply blueprint to one of my subscription, right, how easy it is to apply it to my second subscription? Can I just copy paste it, or is there a different mechanism to that?
As you saw in the demo, the blueprints that we create are there in the assign blueprints or blueprint definition option, right? So if you want to assign it to different subscription, you can go on blueprint definition and then assign it individually. Or if at all the subscriptions are in a management group, a common management group, then we can apply it at the management level so that both the subscription can get the same blueprints assigned to it.
Good. So I just have to add my subscription to the management group, and that's it.
Right, right.
Okay. Yep, I think that were the two questions that I could really see. In case of there are more questions, please feel free to write back to us, and then we'll make sure that we reply to it.